morning, good afternoon, good night. We're going to finish our China unit today, and that means it's going to be time for a test. A test probably Tuesday of next week. Hey, we'll have to see. I'll have a review on here for today as well to help you get yourself prepared. China, a rival to the United States of America, a competitor, and a totalitarian government, then under Xi Huangdi, and today in modern China as well. China is a dictatorship ruled by a communist party, ruled by a guy by the name of Xi Jinping. He looks like Winnie the Pooh, and thus Winnie the Pooh images are banned in China. In America, we considered our God-given right to make fun of our political leaders. Barack Obama had big ears. Donald Trump was our first orange president, our first tangerine. Joe Biden is old, like he's really old. Well, back to China, shall we? The Chinese developed independently. They did not know about any other ancient civilizations. Therefore, they never encountered the Phoenician alphabet. They never learned from anybody else, and therefore they developed uniquely. One of the things unique to China in your notebook, get there if you haven't already. How do I make this full screen? It's not full screen enough for me. Get full screen. I don't want this up here. I don't know how to fix it. All right, and I don't want to exit out because then everything will be destroyed. In your notebooks, the Chinese developed independently. So Chinese writing is unique. If you remember, all right, first known writing. What was the first known writing? First known writing from the Sumerians in Mesopotamia. It starts with the C. First known writing is called what? Okay, cuneiform, wedge-shaped writing on clay tablets. That's first known writing in Mesopotamia. Very complex, tens of thousands of symbols. Very, very hard to learn. Then in Egypt, we have another form of writing, a form of picture writing. In Egypt, the writing is known as what? Type it in, type it in. If you said hieroglyphs, you are correct as well. And again, another complex form of writing. And the reason why it's complicated is they had a different symbol for each word. Well, China develops something similar. Again, they never encountered the Phoenician alphabet until much, much later than everybody else, so they never copied it. The Chinese developed their own form of writing. Their form of writing has over 7,000 symbols. You need to learn 26 symbols from the Phoenician alphabet that we sort of use today. They have to learn 7,000. Now, of those 7,000 symbols, only about 4,000 are used commonly. Here are just a few examples of Chinese symbols and the alphabet that you would need to learn. English is the most difficult language on earth to learn, I would argue. The most difficult writing system to learn is Chinese, unless you're deciding to learn a cuneiform for some reason. If you want to write I, like you want to write I, oh no, that's not what I want. Here's how you write I. If you have a piece of paper, go ahead and do it. Here, do this. Here's how you write I.
Teach you how to write 我 in Chinese, which means I in Chinese.
It's very decorative. This is how to write I. The I as in I am going to the store. Done. Oh no. Now you're done. Now you're done.
Again, that's.
Not hard to learn the language. The writing, that's another beast in and of itself.
And one more time.
Because you can't get enough of writing I. Because we are a me-obsessed culture, they figured that you'd like to know how to write I.
我.
Whoa. Whoa. No, not whoa. Whoa. All right, Chinese writing, crazy unique, crazy difficult. Now, since they developed independently, the Chinese also turned out to be, and are still today, a very, very inventive people. The Chinese eventually do come in contact with other civilizations. Put this in your notes. Trade with the West begins with something known as the Silk Road. All right. In China, there are two unique trade items that Western civilizations, that Egypt, Mesopotamia, Europe, Greece, Rome, that they will be desperate to have. And those are these things. That is silk. Silk, 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 silk. You can't get enough silk. Silk is not that expensive today. It is a fabric, of course. You may or may not know how it's made. I have a quick video on how it's made. It's kind of creepy. It's a minute. Here we go. Check this out. You know how like spider web works? That spiders create web? Well, that's actually a form of silk. These are silkworms, and when they go into the larva cocoon stage, they wrap themselves up in silly string. They wrap themselves up in silk, and then we remove that silk from their cocoons, and we make it into clothing. The tie that I have on, I don't think the shirt, but this tie, all my ties are silk. Only the best for Mr. Herman. Only the best. Okay, yeah, so I was checking out my tie, and I was sure that it was made in, here, I don't know if you can see the tag on this, but my tie, it's fancy. Woo! Don't give me credit for any of my ties. Mrs. Herman takes care of all that for me. I really don't shop for myself, except for food on occasion, but that's because I'm hungry all the time. I don't know if you can see that tag. Probably not. It's probably two. But anyways, it says 100% silk made in China. Probably about 1,500 silkworms had to die to make this. Okay, silk. It is lightweight, it is shimmery, it is long lasting, it retains color forever. It's not exactly fireproof, but it doesn't burn easily. Silk is cool stuff, and it feels really cool against the skin. Okay. Ancient peoples couldn't get enough silk. Now, actually the making of silk was it was punishable by death in ancient China to reveal the secret of making silk to Westerners. Eventually, Westerners figured it out, and I think we have some silk production in France and maybe even Louisiana, but silkworms don't live very well or easily outside of China. Okay, now silk. The West cannot, and China will trade tons of this stuff because the West can't get enough of it. In addition to silk trading, all right, also what in the world have I just done? I don't know what I've done. Let's go here. No, there's apparently a link to that. There we go. Western civilizations all want Chinese spices. Now, by spices, pepper, oregano, paprika. In this case, you have rosehip tea, you have mint. Juniper, I think, is a spice. Oregano, did I already say oregano? Anyways, those are all spices. It turns out that in this world, the only place that spices grow naturally is out around China, the Philippines and the islands in the South China Sea and that area of the world. You can't get spices anywhere else. Now, when I say pepper, I mean like the black stuff that makes you sneeze that your mom or you just dump a ton on into your food. Spices make food taste like food. That's what they do. Now, the Europeans and the West, they'd always had salt, but spices were new. China will make a fortune off of silk, and they'll make a fortune off of spices because it's the spice of life. Spicy. Irony, I think that's actually the spice of life. Okay, so spices. So that's fun. Go away. Now, this is called the Silk Road. This is the main trading road from eastern or central China all the way to what is Canaan, the Promised Land, and from the Promised Land, it gets to Europe. In transporting it thousands and thousands of miles, silk and spices will be incredibly, incredibly expensive for Europeans. But for rich Europeans who demand the best, like myself and my silk tie, they will pay a fortune to get a hold of these silks. Now, separate spot in your notebook, put some Chinese inventions down. Gunpowder. The formula for gunpowder, it's really not all that complicated, but you got to have it in the right percentages. 15% charcoal, 75% potassium nitrate or saltpeter, I think it is, and then 10% sulfur. You mix those together and you have an explosive powder. If you let gunpowder sit around, eventually it'll unsift itself, like it'll sift itself and separate. That's why you don't want gunpowder to like just sit around. Eventually, it'll go bad because what it does is it sorts itself out. Is what it does. The Chinese are the first to invent or come up and figure out the formula of gunpowder. Eventually, that spreads around the world. The Chinese, what they do with it is they make fireworks. They make rockets. They generally don't apply it to warfare, except for a few exceptions. I think this is called like the hornet's nest gun or something like that. And again, you have explosives to fire arrows. I don't think I'd want to hold that in my arms like that. I have a feeling that might explode. The Chinese really don't experiment with guns that much. That will happen in the West with Europe whenever Europeans figure out gunpowder and things like that. But that won't be until much, much later from the ancient world that we've been talking about. So the Chinese come up with gunpowder and fire arrows and rockets and fireworks. Ha ha! Woohoo! Paper. Again, another Chinese invention. If you remember, the Egyptians had papyrus paper. It is the Chinese that invent like paper. And there you go, ancient Chinese paper. And the printing press. The Chinese figured out that using carved wooden blocks with Chinese letters on it, and by taking out and sorting the blocks like some sort of a puzzle, you ink up the blocks and then you press paper to it. Some inventive Chinese figured out how to make this automated, that the paper would run through here. The oxen, the cow would turn this, which would turn that, which would have this spin, and voila, you have a copying machine. So it's the Chinese that were printing the first books. Of course, if Shi Huangti was there, he would burn them because he didn't want any books that weren't telling about how great he was, and now you have to obey him. So in your notebooks, printing press, paper, the wheelbarrow, another Chinese invention, and the umbrella. So every time you go outside and you get wet, well, you guys don't use umbrellas because that's only what lame adults use, is umbrellas. And last but not least, the biggest holiday in China is Chinese New Year. Okay, Chinese New Year, I believe, is in the spring. I'd have to look it up for sure. Chinese New Year, the Spring Festival, they have all kinds of dragon parades, and it's a lot of fun. Each year, think of it like the zodiac. The years cycle through these different animals. Supposedly, if you're born in a certain year, that might tell us about something about who you are. Now, this is 2021. You guys were probably born about 2009, 2008. So you are either year of the rat or year of the ox. Maybe some of you, no, you're probably not year of the tiger. Maybe some of you are. So whatever your birth year is, you can read that and tells you who and how you are. Me, myself, I was born in 1971, so that's the year before the year of the rat. So most likely I have to cycle down here. That's probably the year of the pig. So let me see. People born in this year are very good students. They are honest and brave. They always finish a project or an assignment. Yeah, maybe I'm definitely a pig, but I don't know if I'm the year of the pig. So Chinese New Year. All right. Anything else I got to talk about? Oh yeah, then we're talking about testing and things like that. Maybe I'll have this. Maybe this will be your bell ringer. Either way, make sure you keep up with the work. We're going to have a test on China Tuesday next week. See you soon. See ya Monday. Monday. So silky. So soft. See you soon.